How's it? Welcome to another review video at GES. Today we're looking at Resident Evil 3, the remake, and I've got Dennis Moore here with me, so we can just talk about. He's played it on the PC version, and I played it on PS4. So just to talk about what our experiences were, what the game differences in the game is, and yeah.
So from my side, I don't know how you felt about uh, going into this game, considering we were both very young when the original came out. Um,
Well,
I
you
was a
might.
bit skeptical.
I was
Well, I
18.
was yeah, I was like, I think I played it on PlayStation 1 when I think I played the Resident Evil 2 when I was in grade 7. I'm in grade 1, so I was 7, and then this one I think I played when I was 9.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me it was like throwing me back to my childhood. Don't tell my parents I played it, by the way. Um, but yeah, how did you feel? Obviously, you're a bit older. How did you feel about going back to Resident Evil 3?
Yeah, look, I mean, what was really cool is how they kept like all the basics or the core of the game the same. So the inventory, how you open doors, like those heavy doors that she turns, and she moves to open up. In the old game, you would see the door and you would just see the animation of door turning
Yeah.
and opening up. So I just thought that stuff was really cool that they kept to the core elements of the old game.
So I don't know, maybe it was a bit different on PC, but I found that it wasn't really the same. I don't know. So I found like for me on PC it was especially different in terms of, or let me say difficult. Obviously this one is an over the shoulder, whereas it used to be scene by scene.
Yeah.
And there's no reticle on the screen, so it darts in the middle of the screen. So like walking up to doors and opening things was extremely difficult because you'd have to walk straight up to them so your head was touching the thing so that it would actually activate.
Yeah, I have to
And
say,
like
as
that sense for me is they never actually, because it wasn't like that in the original, they never took that into consideration when making this one. So interacting with things for me I found was extremely difficult.
yeah, I also have to add that interacting with objects, you had to like kind of stand on top of it to activate
Mm,
it. So on the console, it would show like a little V-shaped dot of something you can interact with, and
yeah,
only once you're on top of it, it turns into the X button.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it was the same thing. So just that the fact that they obviously changed it to an over the shoulder, and they never considered the different changing the interactions, almost made it feel like they changed the camera and they were like, okay, cool. They never adapted to the fact that they were changing the way the game's been played from the scene by scene to over the shoulder. So that automatically going back to the point of the game felt like they try to keep it fresh and I mean, try to keep it original but also a bit fresh. I felt like
Yeah.
they try to keep it original but freshen it up but without thinking about it.
Yes.
They just threw the mechanics of the old game in there of interacting and the shooting mechanics and all that and then put it as an over the shoulder and we're like, okay, cool. But they never thought about now that you're over the shoulder, you're actually pointing to where the person is looking, not moving this character around the scene.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
frustrating for me.
Yeah, and also, in that same sense, when in the inventory system, that still feels very old school, like the old game, where
Yeah,
that
that
they
was
could have probably made like if you select something or pick something up, it would, it actually picks up the item, the animation and move it around or combine it. Yeah, so they could have probably done something better in that sense as well. What I thought was really done well is the cinematics moving into the gameplay sessions.
mm,
And I mean, even though it's a game you've played before and you know what's coming or you kind of know the storyline, it was still really, the suspense was there and, you got your frights and, like,
yeah.
what the hell moments.
So that remember, I don't know if you remember the opening scene where you wake up in the house, blah blah blah, and then you realize it's a nightmare, and then you're kind of running away from Nemesis.
Mm.
And I felt like a lot of that was dragged out, and the reason why is in Resident Evil 2, when you were running away or something, there were prompts. So press X to
Yes.
move this, or whereas this it was all just being done, and it could have been like a little bit more interactive because
Yeah.
it wasn't actually displaying as a cutscene. It was displaying as a part of the game. So there was only one part where you had to run down a hallway and escape, and I was like, okay, so you could have just done that whole thing as a cutscene rather than
Yeah. They
I
could
would
have
have
had
been like, okay, yeah,
some quick
something,
time events.
yeah. See her
Yeah.
running through the building trying to get away. In the meantime, I'm sitting there like, okay, they're gonna prompt me to press something very soon. I'm like, no, they're not.
Yeah. I
That's
did
the
the
only
same.
thing that I was like, wow, this was a bit unnecessary. But I did that whole beginning. It was cool in terms of storytelling, but in terms of gameplay, I was like, this could have been a cutscene, like in Resident Evil 2 remake, where the guy's driving the truck and he's eating the burger. That whole thing, that whole cutscene was beautiful, and I spoke about in my review on how that actually adds to the aesthetic of how insane graphics has become.
Yeah.
I wish they had done it in Resident Evil 3.
Okay. Yeah, that's quite interesting. I also thought that the game was a bit short. So obviously, I think the older version felt longer because of the way it was done and the game mechanics back then.
Yeah,
Um, but this felt really short to me, and uh, in a sense, I would have liked them to add something extra, add a bit more.
yeah.
But the other sense, I see, so they added the store where you earn credits after completing the game and you can unlock extra stuff like for I don't know how much amounts of in-game credits you can buy infinite rocket launcher. You know?
Jeez.
Yeah. So there's some
Could have
cool
been.
things that you know kind of makes you want to replay the game over. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I don't know if I really would.
So I think the playtime on it is 5 hours,
Yeah,
according to the developers, which for a full price game, I don't know if that's really worth it. 5 hours.
yeah,
If you consider games like Doom have 20 to 25 hours, Resident Evil 2 had, I can be correct, I think it was 9 hours, but then there's
yeah,
also two sides of that story. I think for the length of game that you're getting versus what else is out there, obviously it's a remake as well, so it's
yeah.
not exactly it's original, but it's you are kind of, I want to use the word leeching off of your past successes. So I don't know. I just think that comes down more to price point rather than the game time is a problem. I think they're just charging too much for that game.
I think that's why they also probably did the Residence Evil Resistance. Uh,
Yeah.
so I know you haven't had a chance to look at that yet because the release date is actually only tomorrow and it hasn't really been available beforehand. But from what I checked out, so it's a 5 versus 1 type of gameplay where
Yeah.
the one person will be the mastermind and the 5 people will be the survivors trying to get out. And I think that's
So they
probably
call it, I think they call it asymmetrical horror game or something like that. I think that's what it's called.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's been done before with Predator, Friday the 13th. It's that kind of vibe. So I've also read a bit about it, and just like the rest of those games I mentioned, I think it's gonna fail.
yeah,
It might be cool for a week, but they need to remember that games like Resident Evil are for a very small community. Obviously now it's been made big, so a lot of gamers are going to buy it and play it, but that's as far as they're going to get. So a lot of people won't even finish it. It'll be guys like you and me that have this nostalgic attachment to the game that are going to go back and play it fully.
yeah,
And there's not a lot of there's not a lot of people that are going to sit down every single day for the next 3 4 months and play Resistance, for instance. So I
yeah.
think saying that they're going to add in resistance to bring up that price point or give you more bang for your buck is still not. It's not a long term method of buying the game right now for R1,000 or $60 US. And I think they need to bring out DLCs, and I think that needs to be free. Obviously, that's just my opinion. But it would be cool if they would bring out DLCs with smaller missions or side missions or stories that kind of link guys like Carlos, bringing his story into it. Um, I think that'll give a bit more bang for the buck, because R1,000 is a lot of money for a 5 hour game, bro.
No, it is. It definitely is, and that's the kind of general problem I have with remasters and remakes and that as well, is that now you're spending the same, if not more money on a game that you've already played, that you already know the story, just with some better graphics and maybe some gameplay improvements.
Yeah.
But in that same sense, I have to say I like these remakes a lot more than companies that just do remasters with just some remodeling, or shader improvements or whatever. This you can actually see they kind of built the game, from the ground.
Yeah, that is something that I do admire them for. Capcom has taken remaster into remake, and they've kind of they're onto something. I think if think of games like if they relaunch Metal Gear, for instance, from Metal Gear 1, and they do a remake rather than a remaster, the amount of people that'll go back and play that, it's really, especially like we started off this review talking about nostalgia and when we were younger, and or when you were not so younger, and
Yeah,
it's about that attachment. And I think if you're willing to go and put the effort of rebuilding the game to make a remake,
yeah.
I think charge a pretty penny, but don't charge me for a full price game.
No,
Uh,
exactly.
it's admirable, but I mean it's not that admirable. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Um, it's quite a thing to see, especially in the gaming, or let me say the development community, because we've seen a lot of games just make remakes on different generation consoles just to suck the last buck out of people. Um, and obviously, companies are notorious in the gaming industry for trying to suck money out of people. So I think they've put a lot of resource into it and spent a lot of money, which is really cool. I really, really love that it says remake.
yeah. Definitely. Okay, so final verdict. What would you recommend the game?
um, my final verdict. I want to touch on a few other things that I noticed.
Yeah,
Especially saying off of the back that it's a remake. Graphics, beautiful. Voice acting, shocking. Like I
just
was like, what? There was even a stage where I had to really concentrate on their lips and ask myself, is this dubbed or are they speaking English and it's just out of sync? Like, what is going on here? And it's actually so the cutscenes are perfect, but when you're talking, Exhibit A was when I was walking with Carlos down to the subway into the actual the train. I
yeah.
was like, what is going on here? So when you're actually in gameplay and there's talking, it's a bit shocking. So I think that threw me off a bit. So for audio, I'd give it a horrible score. For video, I'd give it really high, obviously considering the overall gameplay on PC, it was tough. Obviously, there's no aim assist, so there's no locking onto it, and it's a wobbling target. So without aim assist, it's really difficult to hit 3 headshots. So I ran out of ammo a lot.
Yeah.
As again, like I said, interacting with things was quite strenuous and tough, and like there was a few times where you have the three lockers, and I'm trying to open the middle one, but it's still stuck on that one, and I have to back up and then come forward again.
No,
Character. yeah, character models were glitching into things, and when I would shoot a zombie in the head, its hair would like go everywhere. But I think those are small things that can be fixed with patches.
Yeah,
Those things can be rolled out. So I don't think it should affect overall score for the game too much. But other than that, it's things like small things like I noticed that they reused zombie models a lot, like uh, like not even in complete different areas. I would go from one area to another and be like, "That's the exact same zombie I just saw, except
just kill people.
he's he's wearing a vest now. Now he's
Yeah,
wearing a vest." And then I'd go back and then just to make sure, like, okay, are these guys able to move between doors now? Because that would be an incredible thing to do, and without obviously the obvious programming of them coming into the room, like the one I myself, where the dude jumps into the room when you just get your first shotgun
oh yes.
and you're busy leaving, you walk and the guy jumps into the room. I'm almost certain, like I wet my pants a little bit. But yeah, like I really, really enjoyed that they kept the game to their whole puzzle based to the what the original was.
Yeah,
Um, with obviously it being a remake, I'm gonna come down more on things like visual glitches and stuff, but it's also a game that's just brand new. So for me, overall, I think my final verdict, I would give Resident Evil 3 an 8 out of 10.
yeah,
And
yeah.
yourself,
I
you
agree.
feel I'm being fair?
Yeah, yeah. Look, I agree with you. I think on the console version, I probably experienced a little less glitches from what you talked about. I think the gameplay is probably a bit more smoother
Okay.
because even the aiming, I could, yeah, I had a few misses, but that's just because the zombies freaking busy swaying too much, trying to eat my
Yeah,
brains.
yeah. I was like, stand still, bro. Come on.
But yeah, talking about coming to the quick time events as well, like when the zombies grab you, you know, on the console it tells you to press X, to try and push the zombie away. But you can't, I mean, it doesn't matter how hard or how fast you press X, nothing's gonna happen.
That's
That
the
zombie's
point.
gonna chow you and you're just gonna throw it and you're gonna be injured. So that's a bit sad that, they didn't put something in, where you can actually stave off the zombie bite. But yeah, graphically, I also agree, really, really well done and minor stuff that can be fixed with patches. Audio, yeah, same thing, during the gameplay, like when they walk in the subway and Carlos and Jill is busy talking. I think at one stage Jill's mouth even didn't move when she was talking, and I was like, "What the
Yeah.
hell's going on here?" But yeah, I think nonetheless, it's better than just a plain remaster. These remakes are working, so hardcore fans will definitely enjoy it. So yeah, I also agree with a 8 out of 10. Cool. Well, yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. Check out more videos, subscribe to our channel, and we'll catch you later. Cheers.
Cheerio.
Okay. Awesome.
Kind of mood now. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.